Hey everyone, Willie Miranda with Miranda Real Estate Group, and I'm here with Nikki Davies. Hi, Nikki.
Hi, Willie.
And we are here to talk about questions that we get all the time from buyers is how to buy new construction in Florida. And there's a lot of new construction that's being built down in Florida. We've done a lot of new construction, and Nikki, you as well, with a lot of your sellers or your buyers. And we want to make sure that we can give you guys a step-by-step, really guideline as to what are some of the things that you need to be looking for when buying new construction in Florida, maybe some do's and don'ts, if you would, and just some of the experiences that we've had on doing this, Nikki. So I wanted to go over just kind of a guideline as to, again, buyers want to know, like, should I do this or should I do that? Or, what's the best way to do it? And there really is no best way. I think it's very custom, and I know that you do a great job with new construction. So tell us just a quick background about yourself, Nikki, on your background as far as new construction goes.
All right, so I love working with new construction buyers because it's new, it's exciting. You're not worried about, like, when was the roof done or
Right.
how old's the AC. Everything is new and fresh. So you kind of go in with a little bit different approach than if it was, a 20-year-old home, but.
Yeah, because sometimes with the resale homes, I think that, especially in Florida, right, you have, what is it, hot water tanks, like someone told me the other day. They couldn't get insurance on their property because their hot water tank was 15 years old.
Oh, yeah, roofs.
Right?
Yeah, a lot of that.
Yeah, so it makes a big difference. And sometimes the pricing. But let's talk about a couple different things that I wrote on here. Is why buy new construction to begin with, right? And that's kind of where we started off with. And I think it's a lot of times when I'm seeing resale that's out there, pricing of a resale might be a little bit more than new construction. If you're in a buyer's market, which currently there is a buyer market out there right now for a lot of these new construction homes, there's a lot more incentive. So let's talk about that and what your experience has been with working with your buyers.
Yeah, so with new construction, like you brought up the price. This is why resale is hurting a little bit right now, because sometimes it just makes sense to buy new. Like we said before, the roof is new, the appliances are new, everything is new. There's warranty. There's warranty is a big one. You want the house protected.
Right.
That comes with it. The windows, energy efficient. There's a lot, really.
There's a lot.
It just makes sense for a lot of people.
And I think just the newness, it's like a new car, right? You go in there, it's just the feel of a brand new home is so much different. And I think that in Florida, not everyone, but there's a lot of second homes in there too, right? For a lot of people down there.
And you can also make it your own. You know what I mean? Like, you go into a resale, like, this is what it is, unless you want to put work into it or, redo the floors or paint. Where new construction, if you're building it, you can make it your own from the start.
Right. So when you're meeting with a buyer and they're talking about new construction, and I know that you weigh the options for them back and forth, sometimes a new construction is not good for someone.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It depends on location, really, I think, most importantly. So, if you want to be closer to the water that's been around for longer, if you're west and you want to be, a couple minutes or miles from the beach, you're probably not going to get new construction. But if you don't mind being a little bit further east or south, I mean, we've run out of land, right? So naturally everything is going south and east, away from the water. So that's a big one. Depends where they want to be.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Because you're right, there is not a lot of new construction that's going on. You have spot lots that are going on.
Yeah.
But you don't see a lot of brand new construction communities that are going up that are on the West Coast. Let's talk about choosing the right community, because there's a lot of communities out there. I know Caymas is one that we do a lot of business in, but you represent many builders in different communities within the broader Naples area.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. What should people think about when it comes to choosing the right community?
Well, first, a big one for Florida is golf. Do you want a golf community? Do you want a resort style amenities, or do you want a community with lower HOA fees where maybe there's not even a clubhouse or a pool?
Right.
We have those too. So it really depends what you're looking for. Do you want to, walk out your front door and have a pool, a restaurant, a golf course, or do you just want to be okay with maybe your own pool and less homes and less amenities?
Right. And HOA fees, CDD fees, these things also are factors, right?
Totally. Yeah. Right. When you have the new construction communities where there's a lot of amenities, someone has to pay for that, right? So usually there are CDDs involved, and you have to pay for that. Where if you're doing a little bit smaller of a community with less amenities, there's not a CDD. So it really depends what you're willing to spend, how much you want your HOA's fees to go up to, which they can
vary.
They can vary.
Yeah. What about with we talked about on here as far as like families, right? Sometimes is school a big factor for a lot of people when choosing new construction in school district?
Yes. Not as much maybe in different areas of Florida, but yes, people do wonder about schools.
Yeah, so if you have a community in a good school district, that would probably go a lot better for families, where other people wouldn't care if it was just, say, a husband and wife that were retiring there.
Totally. And, because we can't really steer people into like, oh, this age or this age. I always like to say, well, is there a playground in the plans of the new construction community? To kind of like hint, well, there's no playground, so maybe there's not a lot of kids in this community.
Right.
That's a safe way to put it.
Yeah, that's makes sense for sure. Why do you feel that buyers need a real estate agent to work with versus just going on their own and going directly to a builder?
Well, we've been through this process many times, whether, both of us have built new construction, but aside from that, we've represented so many. So nothing is new for us.
Right.
And also we work for the buyer. The builder agent works essentially for the builder. Of course, we work as a team, and you and I have great relationships with builders agents, but at the end of the day, they work for the builder and we represent the buyer.
Right. And some people think that they're going to get a deal, right, by going through the actual builder themselves, or, hey, I'm just going to go through the listing agent and get this deal because they don't have to pay a buyer agent fee. How does that work with new construction usually when it comes to compensation? It's
already factored in. So like, for example, if they're offering whatever amount of percent to the buyer's agent, they're not going to deduct that from your purchase price. It's already in there, and it's almost like, why wouldn't you want someone to represent you?
Right.
We have them in our best interest.
Right. You're not getting an extra deal on it, and you now have to do all this stuff like reviewing your contract, looking at all the different different upgrades that you can get in the property. And I know that's one of the things that you do well with them is actually going through, sharing your experience, because we do the same thing together. We both bought in Caymas as well. And we know, I don't want to say the goods and the bad, because I think they're both great builders that are in Caymas. But there's some things that maybe we would have thought differently based on what we did. And now we're able to share that with other prospective buyers.
We have the experience.
We got the insight.
Yeah, we have insight. But also though too, there's been tons and tons of people that we've helped. So I can take bits and pieces from everyone else's experience and then help you make an informed decision on what you want to do.
Right. So I would definitely recommend any buyer to work with a buyer agent for that new construction site, and someone that's experienced in that site too, because there are a lot of agents that they can represent you, but if they know nothing about the site, then it's going to be a lot harder for them to help you when it comes down to negotiating, when it comes time, even where the lot is located, and some of the different things that builder does versus another builder is so important. So let's talk about financing options, because I know that in Florida, because it's such a second home state, I guess in some areas it is, and more so in Southwest Florida. But there are a lot of different finance options, right? When it comes to cash or financing or those type of things. What would you say, as far as that goes, like what makes most sense for some of these clients down there? I know they're all different, but tell us a little about the financing side. Have you seen any issues with that at all with new construction with the financing, or is it pretty clear? No, it's been pretty clear. I think it's important when you go to a new construction community and the agent is the builder's agent is saying, oh, we're offering $20,000 at closing costs, for example, as an incentive. That's great. I think that's great. But also what they don't say is that's if you use their lender through their company. Right. So a lot of people think like, oh, I'm getting this. Yes, but you're committing to their lender. Do you want to do that? So sometimes that's left out. So to answer your question, that is always an option. There's usually incentives. They want to keep it in-house, right? So they want to just use Yeah.
They're the builder
Yeah.
lender.
Yeah, no, we've seen that, right? We've talked to some lenders like, I can't compete with that, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah,
then
yeah.
sometimes you have to really know the math, because sometimes it's just added on, or maybe something wasn't discounted that could have been
100%.
discounted.
Right.
And again, that takes an experienced agent to be able to point those things out.
Yeah, I always recommend, yes, they're offering that incentive and that looks great initially. And you're like, wow, this much off. But I think it's always good to get a second or even a third opinion.
Okay. Here's one of my favorites, choosing the right lot, right? A lot of times people get in there and then they're like, what do you mean I don't have any sun, from the hours
Yeah.
of 10 a.m. to 3, and because they're facing in a whole different direction.
Yeah.
So tell us a little about how when you're working with a buyer, how do you kind of strategically show them how that all works with the lot and the way things sit?
Okay, so I can't tell you how many times people are like, oh my God, I never thought about the sun
Right.
or the shade. So I think it is, first of all, you have to see what is available. So say you like a certain model.
Right.
Not every model can go on a certain lot. It can depend on the lot size. It can depend on the home, like the depth of the home. If you want a pool, like there's different factors that go into the lot.
Right.
So it's important once you have your model to then say, okay, where do you want to be? What exposure? And in Florida, it's always the rear exposure. So do you want to enjoy your coffee watching the sunrise? And if someone says yes, and maybe eastern exposure is good for them. If they do not want any sun, northern exposure is good for them. So it really depends on what people want and their preference.
Yeah.
And then another thing to factor into it too is in the community, where do you want to be? Do you want to be maybe further back where it's private, or not against a road?
Right.
Do you want to be close to amenities? I was just not to change subjects, but I was just in a community the other day. It took 15 minutes to get from the gate to the home.
Uh-huh.
And the buyer, and he didn't really think anything of it, but I brought it up to him, like, will this bother you, adding on an extra 15 minutes to where you have to go every day?
That's crazy.
He's like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like little things like that you have to think about.
And I think that it does affect resale too, because there are some people say, I will only look at a home if it has this exposure.
I will only I love the sun, so
Right.
I'm like southern or western.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it does definitely make a difference on resale. All right. So you go to contract with the builder. It's a pretty easy process that way. Obviously, you as an agent reviews it, talk about some of the ins and outs about it, and negotiate that contract. And then, the builder's going to start building the product for them. And there's a lot of options to choose. And I know that most builders have some type of connection with a design center or somewhere where they actually go in and they choose. So let's talk about that piece. You find a lot, you know what model you want, you go to contract, you agree. What's that next step when it comes to actually designing some of the amenities inside?
Yeah, so every builder, like you said, has a design center. You make an appointment, you meet with a designer, professional designer,
Yeah.
and you go through everything, like the floors to the paint to the countertops, cabinets, everything. So you have that appointment, and then usually after that appointment, you have a pool design appointment if you are going to be building a pool with your home, and that's a whole separate appointment. And that's where you can, pick your spa options, lighting, pavers, all different things. So those are really two important appointments. And I always tell people, I'm very realistic, right? Like, you're going to spend more than usually what
Yes. Then the
you
basics of what the
think.
builder gives you. Right?
Yes. That's why it's also important to look at homes that are just about to be delivered to a new homeowner rather than just the model. Because the model has thousands and thousands of upgrades and furniture and different things. It's not always real.
Right. It's not going to look the same sometimes if
Yes.
you
So
just
then when
buy
you
the
go
basic.
into your home, it's like, oh boy, it's just like a shell. So I like to show people, again, I'm realistic and real with everything. So
Right.
go into more of a spec home, see what you're going to get rather than just the model.
Yeah, that's such great advice too, to walk into both, because it is disappointing when you go to look at that
Yeah.
and you're like, well, wait a minute, that's extra,
Yeah.
this is extra. And we always tell people as a rule of thumb, 10 to 15%, plan on more
Totally.
than what the base is, because you're going to want, like you said, the extras that come down to it.
And I don't like surprises. So I like to tell people, expect more. Don't.
What do you think buyers are most surprised about when they go into that design center?
everything is an upgrade.
Right.
Everything.
I know. For us, when we built years ago, it was the lighting, right? Like the model home had a bunch of lighting, but when we went in, we're like, oh no, this is all extra.
Yes.
And then we started pricing it out, and it was pretty expensive for the lighting piece of it. So that was a big surprise.
Everything.
All right, let's talk about timeline, because that's another factor too. You have some people that want to get in quick, and then you have, like you said, specs, and then you know, building brand new. Let's talk about the timeline of what buyers can expect, and what are the different features and products that they can buy to kind of match the timeline that they need to be in.
Yeah, so every community has, of course, to be built homes where you pick the lot, you pick you pick everything, your floor plan from the ground up. Then usually, not always, but communities will have spec homes, right? And spec homes can vary of where they are being built. Some are ready to go, within a month, and then others will be 6 months from now. So it's important, very important from the beginning to know your buyer's timeline. Do they want to wait a full year? Do they want to wait, 6 months? Or do they want to have a quick move-in ready? Which those do have usually the best incentives and deals.
What do you mean, the spec homes?
Well, yeah, the ones that are already available, ready to go. They're inventory homes, right? They want to just get in and sell.
Yeah, the builder wants to move.
Yeah, they want to be done and move on to the next one.
Right.
So that's where, if you're really trying to get a deal, spec homes are usually the way to go.
The better way to go. And I know in Caymas you have an actual full list. You get an updated list every week of what those spec homes look like, what their prices are, what the lots are. So it's something that I know is a service that you give to your prospective buyers that are looking for new construction down in Caymas and other communities, not just Caymas, but definitely that. And there are a lot of different things like the windows, the mechanicals, the drywall. I just wrote a bunch of different things on here. The paint, the trim. Talk about the final walkthrough.
All right, so before the final walkthrough, I think everyone should have an inspection on a new home.
Good point.
So that's a whole other topic.
But it's new construction. Why do I need an inspection?
No, you need an inspection. Well, I shouldn't say you need one. I highly recommend getting an inspection. It's almost like getting blood work. It's like a baseline. So when your home is delivered to you, you know what it was at that point, everything about it. And these inspectors, we're not going through the attics and crawl spaces when we do a final walkthrough. I mean, I'm usually not. I'm not up on top of the roof looking for broken roof tiles. It's very important to get a inspection with new construction. They see things completely different than what we see. So before the final walkthrough, I would say get a home inspection. And
it's not to say that the builder did a bad job.
No, not at all.
But sometimes some of these homes have been built for 6 months. There's settling that goes on, right? Cracks in tile roofs.
And you have that on record. Like there was a crack here. And then you can look back and say, oh, well, it was there when we purchased it. And at the end of the day, I mean, if you think about it, you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. And you're not going to spend a couple hundred to get an inspection. Makes
sense. No, that's a great point. And the other thing is, I know working with Stock and Pulte that they honor that. They want to make sure that you're happy with the product. They want to make sure if there's anything that they go in and they fix it. And they've done a good job with that for sure, because there are some settlement type issues that do come up and some things that are missed.
And I mean, I've handed tons of different builders inspection reports. Like I'm talking 50 pages. It's never a question. They're going to get it done. But those are 50 pages that I wouldn't have found, or a buyer wouldn't have found.
That's true. Like we had one time where so many outlets weren't working. I went to brand new construction. The outlets are not working. We're not checking every outlet. But the inspectors do go through and find that, so that's important. And sometimes structural, like with the windows, the impact windows and stuff like that. There was some issues with that on another one that I remember, and that was thousands of dollars that this buyer would have ended up inheriting. That they would have to fix in a short period of time, because it may not have been covered under warranty.
I mean, even like moisture detectors, they're going all around. Think about it. When you're building, there's going to be rain happening. Wood is going to get wet. So it's just more eyes on everything, the better.
During the new construction process, we didn't touch on it, but I think it's important because there's a lot of out-of-town buyers that buy. And one thing that I've been impressed about with you, Nikki, is that once you go under, it's not like you go under contract and they don't talk to you for 6 or 7 months, right, until it's built. Talk a little about that phase of it where you actually stay in contact with them and actually give them the updates of what's going on.
Yeah, well, I like to be everyone's ears and eyes. Like I'm here, I'm full time, I'm in Florida. Like you said, these are people's second, third, I mean even fourth homes, right?
Right.
I would want someone to be keeping their eye on it. So I always do weekly updates. In the beginning, maybe every 2 to 3 weeks, not much is changing with the foundation. But once like the good stuff starts happening and the walls and the
windows,
tile and all that, I'm there at least weekly taking videos and pictures for all of my buyers.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. It keeps them updated on what's going on. And I know some builders actually say they'll do it, but sometimes they get busy and they can't do it.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm very consistent with that.
Closing day, they do the walkthrough, everything is good, right? Inspection came up with a couple things, the builder took it. And then it goes into closing day, making sure like certain things are in place, like your utilities and those type of things. So talk a little about what are some things that you make sure that your buyer is going to do, knowing that when closing day comes, they have to be prepared for some of these things.
Yeah, so always before closing day, like when your closing date is, right? And so it's important to get, FPL, your lights, your power, your Wi-Fi, setting up even your pool maintenance. Right. You don't want 2 weeks in Florida to go by without your pool getting cleaned.
Yeah, so, the green pool if you don't.
Right. So it's very important to get those things scheduled ahead of time. So on closing date, everything is ready to go.
Yeah, I think a big one that people miss is they miss the insurance piece. Right? And like, I didn't get insurance for it. And some of these cash buyers buy cash and they never even insure their $2 million, $3 million home.
Yeah.
So I think that's something they have to definitely look at, especially in Florida.
Yeah, and do you want flood insurance? Do you, all of that 100% needs to be figured out.
Yeah, and I know you have a checklist actually that you go over with all the buyers to make sure that they're putting their utilities on, doing their insurance, making sure they pay that or get set up on their HOA and all that stuff that's done ahead of time. Let's talk about after they move in, some of the warranties, and I know there's like a certain time frame, right, that they have maybe a punch list that you can actually work with the builder. Yeah. Let's talk a little about that.
Yeah, so every builder is different, right? So usually about a year after, and some could be 10 years. I know structural warranty is always longer, but whether it's your pavers outside or your roof, that's usually a little bit less, usually within the first year. Appliances, that's another thing. I just know from experience and with my buyers, it's important to register your appliances so that they're covered under warranty. Your appliances are with a different company, right? Not your builder. So if you have a GE appliance, you have to register those. Even pool even pool parts, equipment, that all should be registered so that those things are under warranty.
And you already mentioned the pool and servicing the pool, and some communities like do landscaping and some don't.
Yeah.
Right? Making sure that's set up after closing.
Yeah.
How about with meeting the neighbors? Have you had any situations with that with buyers or any suggestions on that?
I always think it's best to, if you see someone walking, get their opinion on the community. I can give you my opinion always, but I don't always live in the communities that I'm selling homes in, right? So I'm all for asking people. That's how you're going to know, and they know the best if they live in the community. And
you're talking before they actually purchase, right? As one of the things where if you go and you look and you like it, go knock on a couple doors, right? And they're going to tell you. Right, they're going to tell you more probably than you want to know, some of the good and the bad that they experience. But the good thing is, I know down in Caymas, we've had a lot of positive feedback from a lot of the people that live there.
Totally.
And they're very happy, and their whole crew is really good to work with.
Yeah.
All right, so I got a couple rapid fire questions for you, Nikki,
we're
going to just go through a couple. Just top of your mind, what comes to your mind when I say these things.
Okay.
Biggest mistake that buyers make.
Not putting in a pool right away.
Okay. Pool, yes, very important. You're right. And especially in the state of Florida, you definitely want to have a pool. For me, I would say biggest mistake is not working with a real estate agent, where they think they just go directly to the builder. I know we talked about that already, but I think that's probably the biggest mistake. All right, number 2, best upgrade for resale.
Best upgrade, kitchen and floors.
Kitchens and floors, okay. And obviously the pool, like you mentioned already.
Yeah.
For me, I would say the same thing. I think the floors make a big difference in a home, and the upgrading the floor definitely makes sense because you don't want to really do that stuff after. You can, but I'd rather do it before you move in.
Yeah.
What's worth every penny?
What's worth every penny?
Yeah, worth every penny.
Your pool.
Yeah.
And you want to go to Florida and you want the outdoor experience. That's why you go. It's outdoor living.
Right.
So to me, a pool, your whole backyard.
I would say it'd be my office because I love being in the office and I love being in there. So it's got to have a good office. And you have a great office that you build, and I have a great office. So for me, it's worth every penny because that's my room.
Yeah.
Sherry, my wife can handle all the other areas, but the office is mine. All right, should buyers wait for incentives?
No, absolutely not.
All right, ask, right? Ask for
Yeah.
them. Yeah, I totally agree with you. There are some things, everything's negotiable. So just because they say this is what it is, if the builder wants to move the product,
Yeah.
there's definitely some incentives that they can put in there for you. So you shouldn't have to wait for incentives.
No.
Because we do hear people, I'm going to wait for things to go down, or I'm going to wait until summer, whatever.
No.
Sometimes it doesn't happen. Actually, it goes the other way.
It costs people thousands. I know people, it costs them thousands
Right.
by waiting. There's no right time, there's just time. So if you want to do it, do it.
I agree. Okay. Should buyers use builder financing? I guess it goes back and forth. It depends on their situation.
Totally depends
Right.
on the situation.
So I would definitely say that. What surprises for out-of-state buyers?
What surprises for out-of-state buyers?
Yeah, what do they get most surprised about?
I would say a lot of people, their first question to me is the cost of insurance and if they need flood insurance. A lot of times people think, oh, Florida, like hurricanes. You don't always need flood insurance. You know, that's a savings. It depends where it's located. Even street by street or road by road in a community can vary if you need flood insurance. But I would say insurance overall.
Yeah, and I would say the HOA and then the CDD that gets attached to it.
Yep.
I think that they don't understand what that is, and it's something that obviously they pay over a 20, 30-year period of the home. We actually did a video on that we'll actually click in a link here on YouTube that people could watch. The difference between an HOA and a CDD.
Yeah.
Favorite features in Caymas. What's your favorite feature in Caymas?
My favorite feature in Caymas, my favorite feature will be the amenity center, 100%.
You took mine.
And the gym too. The gym, I'm excited for seriously everything. I probably won't spend too much time in the movie theater maybe, but I'll be outside and I'll be eating at the restaurant.
I think for me, definitely the gym and also the 5-star restaurant that they're going to have. I think that's going to be
Indoor,
awesome.
outdoor.
Yeah. So if you're a buyer looking to buy new construction in Southwest Florida, or if you like to be neighbors with Nikki and I in Caymas Development, Nikki, how do they reach you?
You can call or text me at 239-470-3810.
And then start packing.